Good afternoon now. Eril, Kaya, and Stephen Whybrow for the satsang with me, Luma. I've renamed my program into Luma, from Luma Yoga to Luma Holistic, because it's a holistic lifestyle, holistic approach. And I wanted to start with satsang. Satsang means in Sanskrit, the old Indian language, the truth, or sitting with the truth. So please, Eril, what does truth mean to you?
To me,
yes, to you.
Well, truth, I think the only way you can align with the truth of everything, including yourself, is when you're aligned with the source of all things. So you have to be in alignment with yourself to align with the source. Then only then you can know the truth, the ultimate truth.
Yeah. Great.
And to me, it's a very similar approach. It's alignment with the source, and to find out what the truth is, and to align the tool that we have, which is our perception, which originates from the thoughts and feelings that we have as human beings, to align our perception, our behavior, to what truth represents. And ultimately, to me, it represents to get into alignment with the source, with natural law principles, and to come together in a collaborative, synergetic relationship with nature. And I think that for me is, and then live by the truth, because then we also live the true greater being that we are in this world, which is the solution to all of the world problems.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I loved hearing you both with Max Egan, the lovely Max Egan. Big fan of him.
Yeah.
And yes, it resonated so much with me, what you said. And the natural law, that's, you know, it makes so much sense. Why would we have someone dictating over us while nature is it? So please explain to me, Steve, a bit more about the 7 laws, and you have the 8th key law of natural law.
Exactly. So these are, what we're dealing with here is principles, which comes from the root word princeps, meaning first and foremost, the most important knowledge. And I often call it the building blocks of knowledge. As I said also in the interview, is when you're a black magician, okay, and when you want to create the world, or basically enslave the whole world through means of manipulation, because what we're dealing with here, the force we're dealing with here, manifests as ancient psychologists. They know the workings of the human mind and how to manipulate it, and they manipulate us through our dark side. Yeah. So you can only manipulate the beings when you remove and hide certain type of information. And now with the internet, for example, we have access to this information. So now we're in a position where we can't say that we cannot know. So what's important now is when you have access to this information, and like, for example, I keep telling people, if you want to know about natural law, go and look at the seminar that Mark Passio did, which is 9 hours long, and watch it not once, but actually watch it regularly and integrate that information, and read books like the Kybalion, for example, and get a deep grasp, because these are principles, and we can remember them again. These are the tools that we have to solve the world crisis. So there's 7 basic principles of natural law according to the Hermetic tradition. There's different ways of getting to the same core principles. And basically you can also draw circles, you know, 7 circles in a certain pattern, okay, in a regular pattern, and you do it for 360 degrees and you get the seed of life. That's what you get. And when you take that geometric structure and you put one big circle around all of that, that is then the 8th principle of natural law, which is the binding principle. It brings all the principles together And it's actually the most important is what is described in Freemasonry as the G. You have in Freemasonry the G letter, and that stands, according to Mark Passio and according also to my experience and research, it stands for the generative principle, that which generates and amplifies and creates, and the gate. It makes evolution go through us, you know, and that is the principle of care. It's not love, it's care as a core. Do you care about the children, about the plants, about the planet, about the trees, every living thing? And that's where you start to really start to resonate with your greater being. And the other 7 principles, there's a lot we can get into, but it's like principles like cause and effect, the principle of correspondence, the principle of mentalism, that everything that we experience in our reality is of a mental origin. It's like a lucid dream. It's lucid dream like, but it's alive. And those are the sort of things that is the most hidden information on the planet, because when we have access to the building blocks, then we can build the world better than the Freemasons.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes, we're so much more creative, aren't we?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And Errol, Errol, you're a shaman and a truth seeker, I think, or a freedom speaker rather. Can you tell us a bit more about?
Well, I'm the truth. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And I embody the truth, and I'm only interested in truth.
Yes.
I'm not interested in how the truth sounds or looks. I'm just interested in the truth that we all are.
Yeah.
And yes, I do engage in shamanic practices as well.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's very good. And Steve, you're an investigative journalist and researcher. Are you also a historian? Or
Well,
just
my background is in mathematics and history.
Yes. Yes.
But I would describe myself more as an information alchemist now. I alchemize information and I pull the dots together. And also, I mean, I'm indescribable. I'm the light of truth, like Eril is, you know, when you come into alignment, it's indescribable what you are. But basically right now I'm serving the role of the diplomat of the planet. I serve the diplomat's role. And I navigate with the occult world of the demiurge and the archon realm. I navigate through those realms and I tell them what the matrix is and how we self-correct this reality so they cannot cause any more harm. So yeah, the diplomat for the planet, that's what I would call myself right now.
Fantastic name. I like that.
Can I just
Yes,
add,
sure.
I'm the protective principle.
Yes, we need a protector. The
That's
male
what I
energy, both of you, yes. So you brave people have served notice to the Austrian president. And I've seen on The Age of Truth, that documentary with Claire Edwards and you as well, Errol. So that was super brave. That inspired me to put something on for Boris Johnson as well. I've served him notice, although it's on Instagram. But hey ho, it's a means. So yes, I'm withdrawing my consent to him, basically. So tell us a bit more about the process and your decision to do that to the president.
Well, what I want to get clear, first of all, is that things are always much simpler than they made us think, you know, because one of the principles I use in my show, for example, is that they made us think a certain way. Yeah. And, you know, you send it off, for example, like you did on Instagram, and then the doubts come in. It's like, oh, is it going to work? Should I send it over the post office, or do I have to do this and that?
Yeah.
But these are all drawing you away again from your natural state of being. So all it takes when one realizes what Gnosticism, true Gnosticism is really about, it's just you need to have an aim. And when you have an aimed intention, that intention will always reach the goal that it's intended for. So that's how it works. And when you do it via Instagram, that's fine, you know. But also what I want to say is that become aware of what happens afterwards, because it's not the end result. The notice of liability approach that I take is something that I've not learned from anyone. I don't go by anyone's sort of way of doing it, but it's uniquely an own creation of myself. And one needs to become aware what happens after that, you know, and then be responsible and own anything that comes up to you. And what my basic approach about it was, and it's sort of like, this is what I call the distillation of information. This is information alchemy. I remove all of the things that are only of secondary or whatever importance, and I only go by the primary importance. And that's where I used, for example, the insights of the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays, which is very important. It's the engineering of consent. So in the world that we experience, the manipulators, they see us as a collective. They don't see us as an individual. So they form a consensus, okay, and they call it the public. That's why Edward Bernays, it was also the father of public relations. They're not dealing with an individual like you, because in their perception, we are to be assimilated into their mindset. And they only see us as a collective, which we're not. They don't understand what a human being is. They don't understand the life force, and they go crazy when you tell them about the magnetic component of creation. So basically what you have is, and I got this intel 2 days ago in the ceremony that we did with the full moon, because that's also something we can get into later, because it's very interesting information for you and for a lot of people what happened 2 days ago. And the picture that I got is, because we were having a ceremony at Mount Untersberg in a cave there. It's in Salzburg here in Austria, and it's the heart of Europe here in the Mount Untersberg, the heart chakra of Europe. And we had a fire going, and it's Plato's allegory of the cave, which I'm explaining here in Bernays terms also, to bridge Bernays with Plato's allegory of the cave, which is very significant to understand what the matrix is. So we were sitting there having a fire, and we were sitting there, and you can walk out of the cave and you're interacting with natural reality as it really is, alive, sparkling, dancing. And on the other side, you know, you can walk out of the cave, or you can look at the shadow projections of the fire in the cave. And that is the public. That is everyone who's still stuck on watching the mainstream media, or also the alternative media. I'm very critical. I love Max. I love the Dollar Vigilante also, you know, Jeff Berwick. I love all of these people. I respect them to the core, and they serve a great job to the world. However, the viewers, you know, people still stuck on the information level and always just looking at the PCR test and Corona this, Corona that, and well, I need to know more. They're only engaging in intellectualism, but they're still stuck in Plato's cave. So what you just said is the prime importance of this is the removal of consent. What you're doing is you're removing your perception, observation of the shadow projections on the wall, and you flip 180 degrees and you do what you're here to do, which is everyone has got a unique role to play in all of this. And it's basically the solution to Corona is to assert and live one's sovereignty. And that can only be experienced. So that's the basis of my notice of liability approach. I'm a sovereign being, living, breathing. I'm not the dead paper-based entity, the dead corporation that you created for me.
Sure, man.
And I'm now telling you, President, because there are no hierarchies under natural law, but only interpersonal relationships. And I'm telling you, I'm holding you privately liable with everything that you have for a crime against humanity. And that is what really shakes the whole cage of the Matrix, because actually it's not directed at him, because I know he's a puppet. of the
Absolutely,
force
yes.
behind him. It's aimed at the demiurge directly. I'm serving
Okay.
you a notice of liability, demiurge. Are you listening? Because I'm
Oh, boy.
writing to you. Exactly. So that's the basic aspects. Yeah.
He's already
Fantastic.
been served, by the way, the demiurge.
Oh, really? Yes,
Through
by
Eril,
you.
probably.
Oh, yes, the Dragon Slayer.
No, there's nothing wrong with dragons.
No, no.
It's the demiurge, the reptilian principle. That's what we're dealing with. Dragons
Yes.
are good.
The dragons are good. Yes, no, I know. My daughter is a dragon, so born in the year of the dragon, 2000. So at the month of the dragon. So it's a very good thing. No, but I think they are master magicians.
Yeah.
They say, you know, look at this hand, but don't look at this hand.
Yes.
They are master magicians of the dark. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
But what they don't understand is the power of the master magicians of the light, which trumps them.
Mhm.
And that will be their downfall.
Yes, for sure. And I think this cycle, because we've been here before, cycles with other civilizations, and then it was annihilated. But we are the only ones who will survive this to the golden age. That's
Absolutely,
my
yeah.
philosophy, and that's what I'm
No.
hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
You know, this is it. We're in the end game, and it's a privilege to be here, to be alive now, to fight this demiurge, let's say, or archons, whatever name you want to give it.
Or just simply let him fight us. And we just stand our ground. That's all we have to do.
Absolutely, yeah. Fighting is a negative word, but
Yeah.
standing your ground, that's the perfect way.
That's all we have to do.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a quick question, because my daughter said, Mom, please ask them. Today, the UK announced the vaccine has been approved, and next week it's going to be used, let's say. Any advice?
Well,
how to-
basically, what we enacted, the core intention that we had for our ceremony 2 days ago, was
Yes.
protection for every living being and every human being on the planet right now.
Fantastic.
Because the reason why they've got the vaccine in 1 week and not at the beginning of 2021 is because they have to speed it up, because we're taking
Yes.
them down, you see.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. No, they're
That's how it
speeding
works.
up.
It's a good sign, actually.
It's a
And-
very good sign, yes. But we like traveling. And how do we stay at home? Don't, otherwise we can't travel, let's say. So what is it? Sitting low till it's over? Or how do we act normally, let's say, and do our
yes,
daily things? Yes?
absolutely. Just act normally, live your life as normal,
Yes.
you know, and try to stay away from airports, obviously, and
Okay.
places where you have to wear the mask, and
Yes.
go through their system. It's better to travel by car.
Travel by car, yeah.
They can't stop you. What are they going to do? You
No,
know, you travel
absolutely.
by car, and obviously they're saying if you go here, you have to do a test. If you go there, you have to do a test. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They can't force a test on you. They can't force a vaccine on you. They can't force
Absolutely.
anything on you.
Yes.
What we have to understand is these things are suggestions. You have to take a vaccine. Oh, you have to take a test. They're just suggestions. Do you follow the suggestion, or do you say, no, thank you? They're not enforcing anything.
Yeah.
The way people are taking it is, oh, they're saying this now, so we have to do it. No, you don't.
Yes.
See, that's how they manipulate us into doing their bidding. You see, if we all stand together and say, no, we're not doing it, they have no power. They don't have enough force or manpower to enforce what they want to enforce. And people have to realize this, because we're the majority, they're minority.
For sure.
And what I
But-
also want to explain in this case is there's different layers of creation. Like there's different layers of truth also. And we're dealing with a multidimensional reality. So point number one is it's a good sign that they're speeding things up, because that tells to me that we're really taking them down. And I'll tell you, we're taking them down. I'm not just talking about it, but we're actually really taking the entire curtain down and telling him to purify with the source.
But they're actually taking themselves down. The more we stand our ground and stay in our power and do not acquiesce, the quicker they take themselves down within their desperacy for us.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's how it works. It's not a battle we have to fight. We just have to stand our ground.
And
You know?
Errol, I heard you mentioned before that the darkness wants to come to the light to be, let's say, redeemed. I know it's a biblical term, but to be purified, let's say.
Yeah, well, within their own delusion, they come to the light thinking they're going to distinguish it without realizing that they're coming to be purified.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So all we have to do is just stand our ground within our light and carry on living life freely, and they will automatically come to us as well for healing. Thinking that they're going to destroy us, then they fall apart. We read them their rights, it's over. We tell them how it is. We take back our buildings, you know, we take back our governmental structures, okay, and we run it because we're already doing the job.
Yes.
And then we change the system to how we want it to be.
Yeah. But what about the people? Because I traveled with my daughter from Rome. It was a great opportunity to see the Vatican. It wasn't so busy. It was in July. And we were the only ones without the muzzle, as you say, Errol. But we had so much hostility. Even the pilot was like shaking. He was so furious, you know, put your mask on, it's legally, you know.
That's good. And this is a good opportunity to stand your ground.
Yeah.
And within doing so, you get stronger and it becomes first nature. And that's how you evolve as a being.
Yeah.
That's real awakening then.
Yeah, that's real awakening, not hiding from it and acquiescing and wearing the muzzle.
But I felt sad for my daughter because she was nearly kicked by a woman. And, you know, we were just going on a holiday, not to fight with anyone, but to get so much abuse and anger for our natural law to breathe, you know?
But this is a mirror of what's been going on this planet for a very long time. You see, I always talk about the COVID effect. And the COVID effect is just what was in the unseen before has now moved to the seen. That's all that's happened. Sure. People have always been acquiescing with psychopathic systems of control. And they have always been traumatized. And with Corona now, they finally have the opportunity to live out their victimhood. That's all that's happening. And we just have to stand our ground. And probably your daughter is incredibly powerful and she can take anything, you know, she can take anyone on.
Oh yeah, she goes on the underground without it, and she's super brave, like Errol. She's a dragon slayer. But yeah, she's. I think kids are more evolved nowadays. So anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, it's fantastic to see. But I wanted to step back, actually, way back, because I was born in Baghdad, in Iraq, from Iraqi father and Dutch mother. And we moved to Holland when I was 10. And growing up already at the age of 11 or 12, I saw on the news what happened in Israel. And it broke my heart. And I asked my friends, you know, can't you see what they're doing? I mean, this is torture and occupation and bloodshed. And the reply of my friends were, well, they suffered, so now it's their time to inflict on others. That's their reasoning. And I just couldn't understand that logic. And then I came to England and 9/11 happened. And again, the same story, you know, excuses. This is allowed. So what are your views? Because you said you're passionate about that part of the world,
Yeah,
Steve.
absolutely.
Mm.
And it's one of the core essences, or the core essence, what you get when you read the book Not in His Image from
Yes.
John Lash. The main modus operandi is victim-perpetrator bonding.
Yes.
And throughout the ages, those in the unseen, the reptilian element of creation, which in creation they represent the involutionary force, whereas we're serving the evolutionary force, the force of the source. But for them, they manipulate through human patsies. They create scenarios of victim-perpetrator bonding. So they create the fiction, actually, of the Jews being the victim, which really has to be looked deep into, because there's no bigger mystery to me yet than the Second World War.
Yeah.
And the lies of history. I studied history. I
Yes.
studied history at the University of Vienna, and once you start to analyze things, and there's something called historical revisionism, and you look at the works of historical revisionism, and it was in the 60s and 70s, very profound work was published, and you see the French Revolution had nothing to do with what they tell you at school or at university.
Yeah.
And all of that, like, history is so based on lies, and there's one thing
All of it.
to take away from it, which is the Tartarian element. What
Yeah.
happened with Tartaria?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, a worldwide civilization. Max Egan talks about this. It's fantastic work that
I
he's
know.
done there. And we need to look deeper into that. But they create ways in which the human population destroy each other. But it's always in the background. It's these involutionary forces that feed off that energy.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think it has nothing to do with Jews. They have been hijacked.
Yes.
Judaism has been hijacked. Christianity, Islam has been hijacked by these forces. And I do believe in Tartaria, where people lived in tune with nature, where you went to a church to meditate, where they played organs for sound therapy. And in my view is, you know, in the ceilings were so beautifully painted. It's because you're lying down, meditating, looking at the ceilings. This is my point of view.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make sense to go in a church and only like this.
Exactly.
So these, and like Eril said, history is, all of it is a lie. World War I, II, whatever. What happened last week.
It's his story. Is the demiurge's story, and he's openly telling us that his history is gone.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Oh, I like that. Yes. Well, you both seem very, very optimistic. I wish you can rub it off on me a bit more.
That's why we're talking right now.
Yeah.
And let us explain a bit what happened 2 days ago, because that will really freak them out.
Okay, yeah, please do share.
So we went to the Mount Untersberg, and what we've got going since the beginning of May is a weekly festival for freedom in Linz. So we just, every Friday, we just own the main square in Linz. And it's just a festival. It's not a demonstration, you know, we have speakers there. And yeah, it's just a coming together, and it creates a pattern, you know. It's the one thing that the involutionary force doesn't want you to do is ritual, because they do their rituals. They don't want you doing any rituals, because when the light shines and you do it regularly, you keep remembering to each other, the people at the festival, that we're doing it. And the archontic intrusion has no place. You see, it can't take hold of our psychology, that, oh no, it's not going to work, and you're not going to take down the entire government, take the planet back. Oh yes, I want to do it. But we keep remembering that because we talk to each other every week. And what came as another element of that a few months ago is to start doing rituals, ceremonies at specific places in the area. So this month, like 2 days ago, the full moon, we have someone who's she's the one who knows where to go and when to go there. And we did it at Mount Untersberg, the heart of Europe, and we found a cave which was very difficult to find. Like we were running around like for 1.5 hours
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, in nowhere, like basically lost. And then we were offered a really nice place, and there's wood, fire, and we can do a fire here. And yeah, let's make a compromise. But you know, we've got some guys, you know, who want to go for the real deal. No, we're going to the cave. And then we found the cave. You know, it was something that wasn't there before. Like it was, I don't know what happened. You see, we're dealing with a multi-dimensional matrix.
But basically what happened was we were looking for the cave, and we were on the path, and there was a chained gate, and there was no other way. So we're looking at the situation and we're thinking, where's the path? And then we saw something that looked like a path, so we followed that path, and we didn't see any other path there. So it was the wrong path, and we went in, you know, we went totally in the wrong direction, and we got lost, and it started to become dangerous as well, because there's rocks, stones, and there was cliffs, and it's in the middle of the night. We don't have access to light. And then we finally got somewhere, and there was a campfire already waiting for us. But we thought, no, we must go and have another look. And when we went and had another look, there was a path there. So what's happening is they're changing the timelines. You see?
Yeah.
And we couldn't see the path when we first got there. It really wasn't there. There were 6 of us, and we just totally walked past it. And when we went back, it was there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then we the path led us to the cave, and we took the fly agaric.
The fly agaric mushroom.
Fly agaric mushroom. It was in tea, and an hour later we added psilocybin mushroom, which are entheogen compounds. That's what the Gnostics always used to connect to higher levels of consciousness. And being in that cave and taking the psilocybin mushroom, we connected on a very deep level to the mountain, like on a very, very deep level.
Activated it.
We activated it. And basically the way I explained it was the mountain was already really happy having us here, you know, with him. And we actually heard Eril made us aware that the mountain was speaking to us. You could hear them. How did it sound like?
Oh, just long calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that when we did that, they were really pissed.
Yeah.
The archons were really pissed. And now that we're announcing it publicly, they're going to be even more pissed, which is beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. That's healing right there. And what the way I explain it, because the first half an hour, 45 minutes, there were some tense energies inside of me, because I think the mountain, it's sort of an alchemical process of the mountain together with the human being to purge, to let go of those negative energies. And it was strongly working through me. And then at a point, I said that the mountain's basically saying, wow, these guys are really cool. But now, whoa, you know, basically how I explained it was we burst the bubble that the mountain had been in. So the archons, they don't only manipulate our perception and put us into virtual reality.
The earth.
The earth is also in sort of like a quarantine, a bubble that they create, which is called hell in Gnostic terms. A virtual reality experience, they trap you in loops. And we burst the bubble also for the mountain, and the mountain was starting to remember. And he's like, whoa, I thought they were cool, but they're really cool. The mountain loved it.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about, activating the heart. The mountain starts to remember through us, cleansing the energies. And the demiurge himself showed up, didn't he?
Yeah. Then the mountain lets all the other mountains, which is connected to, know. And they're all activated all across the world.
Fantastic.
You see? And then the land rises. Then the humans rise. And all the beings that dwell in it rise. And this is the main thing which the enemy is afraid of. That power, the power of the earth, the power of the land, which is connected. And that's just the power of the earth. I haven't even spoken about the power of the source and the force. Just the power of the earth alone, they are very intimidated by it.
Yeah. So why do their motto is destruction, destroying life, destroying nature, destroying people. And the most painful for me, I think, is destruction of children with their child sacrifices. And yesterday a friend told me 8 million children get missing every year. I mean, it boggles the mind.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to have you on to speak for freedom, for you, for the next generation, for animals, but especially for the kids. Do you have anything to add?
That's what I focus on in my talks always. I see how they divide humanity, how they divide us. And I often speak about the children, which are very, very dear to my heart, because it has to do with one's own heart, you know, our heart, soul, essence, our greater being. That is the inner child. And I also speak about the old people, you know, who are being so sick. They're being used in such a sick way with this fake pandemic. Oh, we're doing this for the old people. We need to, oh, you have to respect the old people. No, we have to actually, what I said the other day at the demonstration is, let's take down the old people's homes and let's build something beautiful and take care of our own people. You know, take the old people back and care for them like the indigenous tribes do. Learn from the indigenous cultures of this planet. And the children, all I can say is that what I do is I speak on the demonstrations at the festival and I speak about things before they happen, and then they don't happen. Like I intuitively, innately knew that they wanted to, because they need a reason to have a second lockdown like we have in Austria right now. And they wanted to do it through the children in the schools, installing 5G WiGig, you see, a higher version of Wi-Fi. And I said it at multiple demonstrations, and now it's not happened because I reveal it. When you reveal the darkness, it cannot happen, you see. That's how it works.
Yes.
And all I can say is that, I can speak for all of us, I think, is that we are like solid rocks. We won't let anything happen to the children.
Excellent.
Like, we are men who are really standing up, and we are the guardians of the earth, and no one can fuck with us. It's impossible. We've got the forces of the universe behind us.
That's why all of the perpetrators, they're going to pay for every single thing they've done, and they're going to made to feel the very exact pain of every single one of their victims, but they have to be slayed first.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fact.
Yes, I've heard that. So on your deathbed, let's say, you'll suffer as you have done to others.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how the source operates.
That's how the source operates. Well,
Exactly.
you suppose seem very optimistic and glowing. So yay. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I just want to say to the people, we're under lockdown now in Austria, and everywhere is mountains and nature. We just walk out the house, we're in nature. So what we do every day is we go and swim in the river, and then we climb a mountain. That's our daily ritual. Like today it's -2 degrees, and we're going to go and swim in the river. And then we're going to go for a hike. And
can I come?
I just want to say to people, go and do these things. Go and connect with nature. It will empower you again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. I think as well, politicians are chancers. They see your reaction, people's reaction, and if they can't get away with it, then they do something else. So they're the tricksters, because people think, oh, it's a lockdown, we have to stay at home. The first lockdown in the UK, my daughter and I, we just went out. we went to the Brighton beach. Everyone was scared. Everyone was inside. There were only police officers filming each other. But no one questioned us. And I think because we felt this is our God-given right to be here, or the source, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I have some questions for you as well, if I may.
Yes.
You say as well, Steve, we can only sort this whole situation out from the inside out. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's all you always have to strike a balance, I think, also. So the New Age religion would want you to focus only on the inside. Right? Oh, don't take any action. That's the ego, you know. Oh, you know, it's all inside, and there is no darkness. You know, you only have to focus inside. And there's so many hijacked narratives about true spirituality. That's why I love when Eril talks about slaying them, because that is the masculine principle, you know, and the masculine principle needs to be balanced with the feminine principle, and balance is everything. What I mean is that we transform everything from the inside out. So it's no good, you know, arguing and being angry at the politicians, because that is just the screen. You're observing the shadow projections on the wall of causes that have already been put into effect. So all you can do is to get to the causal level of what is creating the problem. That's true Hermeticism. And you have to go to the root of it. And what I understood is, I asked the question, how do we penetrate the causal level of reality, that which is projecting? And I came to realize it came to me through innate knowing, innate knowledge. And I realized is that evolution and penetration of the causal level only happens in the realm of the unknown. That's how you shine light into the darkness, by realizing the comfort zone that we live in. We all have a comfort zone. And it's important to be aware of it. It's not bad, you know, like they say, oh, the ego is bad. No, becoming aware of it is important. And it's George Kavasilas, who I really recommend also. He calls it the fishbowl syndrome. And evolution only happens outside of the comfort zone. So that's why we jump into the river at -2 degrees, because it is so far out of the comfort zone that there's where true healing takes place, you know, and you merge with the elements and you get really empowered, you know, and that for me already is transformation from the inside outward. But also important for me to add here is that in my role, I have a very strong Aries energy in me. In Western astrology, I'm triple Aries, and in Eastern astrology, double Aries and fish. So with me, it's all about action and vision and action. So it's important to come into alignment inside of your being and being anchored to your greater being inside of you, but then also take action. But only from a balanced perspective and action, and you live by that, you know, you start the action. The most difficult thing for people is to start it, because you need to gain and tract momentum. This is also a very important principle, that it's like the motor in the beginning, it's like, and then it runs, and it only runs when you do things continuously. So first you assert your sovereignty, and then you live by it each step of the way, and you'll see things coming to you, but you will deal with it. And what you're actually doing, this is the awakening process, is facing anything or anyone that wants to restrict your freedom. And that's it. You just stand in your light, and things will come to you in the moment the situation happens. Don't like get into your head and like, oh, I'll do this when this happens. No, everything will come to you in the moment it happens. Trusting the process.
The type of yoga I do is called 8 limbs yoga, Ashtanga. And I don't know whether you've heard of it, but there are also principles. So non-stealing, non-harming, and especially the non-harming, ahimsa, non-harming to yourself, to others. It can be as well to animals. You can be vegetarian, but it's a choice. It is accountability most of all. the true meaning of a yogi is someone who's accountable. So all your actions and
responsibility for actions.
Responsibility, yes.
Exactly.
And no one wants to take responsibility.
That's the main message of Mother Earth to human beings. You must be responsible for all your actions. That's the main message.
Yes. That's a beautiful message, I think. Okay, Errol, did you want to add something on? Is it from the inside out? So responsibility, you said. Anything else to add?
What for regarding responsibility?
No, regarding sorting your whole situation out from the inside, and that projects to the outside.
Everything takes place within the self.
Yeah.
So the crisis we're facing is a crisis within the self. You know, it's a lot of people, they have refused to do their inner work, and that's why we're in this mess now today. They've refused to face their darkness within themselves, to integrate it. And now that we're here at this stage, they're finding it really hard and difficult. And I'm hearing from a lot of people, I can't do this anymore. It's painful to be here on this earth right now. Yeah. I feel like committing suicide. It's because they haven't done their inner work. And it's not too late, but we've arrived at a place where we're having to face our inner self. Those who've done their inner work, they're in no worry at all. So now is a perfect time to face our inner self and do our inner work. But the way to access our inner core is through the darkness within ourselves. We have to do the shadow work, as I say. We have to do the shadow work, integrate it. Only then we can rise and see the situation for what it is and deal with it. And this is the reason why they've been distracting humanity for such a long time, so that humanity doesn't face themselves. You know, we've been distracted from ourselves through the system, through the control system. And now that control system is falling apart. It's not going to be anymore. There's no going back to normal. We're all going back to the land. We're faced with a choice here. We're either going to go back to the land and survive, and the earth is going to flourish again as the way it used to be, or we're going to submit to their evil technocratic dystopia, allow ourselves to be microchipped and just become dehumanized and just, you know, destroy another destroyed civilization.
Yes.
So this is the choice we're facing.
It is a choice. It is a choice right now. True.
And what I may add here,
yes.
when it comes to facing the shadow self and doing the shadow work, the core basis from where, because I've been dealing with shadow integration for 11 years, suffering from depression. Like I was majorly under attack from the Archon realm, but it really made me come into my power. That's the other effect of that, you know. Yeah. Never just own situations. But where people can start, when they don't know how to start, because they're always like, what's the start? Relax into your heart, soul, essence. That's what I did. You know, take the time every day or regularly and just relax back into yourself. Let the thoughts come up, and that's part of meditation. Let them come up and relax back into your heart, soul, essence. And then you will be faced with whatever needs facing. So it goes much more natural than people try and overcomplicate things. And then they only stay in meditation. Oh, I'm going to face it. No, you face it in the reality. Yeah. Face the people and just act responsibly, which is responsibility is the ability to respond. The other side of that, which is sort of like an Archon AI, is reactionism. Things happen to you and you don't own them, and you react to situations and you throw it back at them, shadow projection onto other people. But the more you get the gist of this process and you have the ability to respond, like David Icke talks about, take a deep breath, look at it again. you know, and then more and more you'll sink and you'll treat other people better, you'll treat yourself better, and that's how you integrate the shadow.
Very good point. Treat yourself better. Yes. Yes. Self-care. So we talked about liability, but I want to go back to the notice because that I thought that was so brave. That was so inspirational. Do you feel Austria will be the first one, the domino effect, to fall? And then others will fall, because it is like a domino. Once fall, then the others will follow.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be proven different, because as soon as the first domino falls, they all fall. Like one of the principles of what the archons are working on, and a lot of people haven't sussed that, because all the time it's like, oh, nothing changes, you see. All the time, it's like we've got this crisis going. There's like hundreds of thousands of doctors speaking out. You have all these things going on, and they still continue. What people don't realize is that from an archon perspective, they always only protect the first domino. So you won't see anything in the scene, you know, and people will exacerbate and they'll be like, oh, this is really bad. We can never change anything. And they give too much power to the dark side, which they're powerless, you know, they're nothing. But they have certain ways of modus operandi, which is protect the first domino, keep feeding people through their thought systems, like the thoughts that people are thinking, they're most likely not yours. Because when you go into the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, for example, who I really respect a lot, 97% of the thoughts you're thinking today are the same thoughts you were thinking the day before. These are archon thoughts. It's archontic intrusion to keep telling you nothing ever changes, you have no power, and look, we are implementing the dark new world order. But the first domino, and I strongly believe it's going to be in Austria, again, I'm happy to be proven otherwise, then they all fall, because the thing is that when you understand the law system, you see, basically what has happened with all the constitutions that are in place in Europe, you know, and all the people are like, oh, we want our rights back. No, rights are exactly the problem. We are born free. I don't need rights, okay? I'm going to read them their rights.
Rights are fiction. It's a fiction, which they have created.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't understand the logic of I want a nanny state looking after me. Do I need a pedophile father to look after me and after the children?
Exactly. It's total bullshit. Now, what I mean is they basically what's happened with constitutional rights and everyone worshipping the constitution. You're worshipping a religion, and it's called governmentalism, which is exactly the problem. Government means mind control. That's the #1 problem we have in the world.
And I say to anything.
So they give us a map. You see, oh, you've got these rights and the constitution says so-and-so, but the map doesn't match the terrain. And the notice of liability, the power of that is that in every court, and you don't want to end up in court, like it's all settled before you go into the court. I'll never go into court because that's a pedophile place, you know, of pedophiles meeting, and I'm not mingling with pedophiles, you know. But the notice of liability is the #1 thing in court that they ask for any court case to be finished straight away is, have you been notified? And when it says yes, then the guy's fucked. That's it. I'm just saying it in plain English. That's the power of the notice of liability. You settle any dispute before you go into court. That's the power of it, because everything runs on information. They don't want us to think in simple terms. Information changes perception. Information makes you responsible and accountable.
Great. And where does this fit in with the common law?
Well, common law is what I said also with Max Egan. It's very good to open up your business, and but in the longer run, you have to go via natural law, and you basically have to break it down and say, hey guys, the discussion, the talk starts with natural law, it ends with natural law, and everything in between is a copy of natural law. If you want to do any contract, that contract has to be insured. If it's not insured, like the mask wearing, the politician who's enacting it is privately liable, and all his assets are going to be taken away for crimes against humanity. That's the language the diplomat of the earth speaks. Starts with natural law, ends with natural law, it's only natural law. Any questions? Boy, have you learned? Boy, if you don't understand, watch Mark Passio 9-hour presentation.
Yeah, I like Mark Passio.
He's fantastic. Great teacher.
Yes, yes, he keeps it straight. And also I like what David Icke says, they're just little boys in shorts.
Yeah, that's what they are.
That's what they are.
Yes.
They fear us, and then they project the fear onto us. And then we
Yes.
think it's our fear. No.
So how do we break that spell of the mind control, of centuries now of mind control? And it trickled down into, oh, hello.
Slaying the demiurge. Yeah.
Yes, please join us.
He's the magician.
He's a magician, okay. I hope not this one.
He's the wizard.
He's the wizard. Yes, we need the wizard
Gandalf the Grey.
uncast the spell that they have done on us. The MK Ultra. I want to speak to you about mind control. It's in advertisements, it's in movies, it's in words that politicians speak, and leaflets, what have you. Pardon?
No, carry on, sorry.
Yes, I'm starting to notice more and more symbols in numbers. Now, numbers, they make it out like bad, like 666. It's bad, like satanic. But I think numbers are just neutral. Yeah. You can use it for the good or the bad. So any thoughts on that? How to break the spell of mind control?
Well, obviously what they're doing is they're casting spells. That's why television, it's all about broadcasting. They're doing casting on a broad scale. So it's a broadcasting. They're casting spells, and they're doing it through their channels. That's why we have television channels.
And just a quick one. The alternative media, what they're actually doing is the mainstream is talking bollocks, which we know, bullshit, it's lies. And the alternative media carries on the spell with a taste of truth.
Yes, but I don't think they actively know that, obviously.
No, it's unconscious.
They're
It's
under the
unconscious.
spell
But there's a
themselves.
lot of controlled opposition out there. I want to say that too. Like, I'm not mentioning any names. Like, I love the people like Max Egan, David Icke, Mark Passio. They are 100% pure from my observation. But there is a lot of people in the alternative media who are consciously or unconsciously total controlled opposition. And they lead down rabbit holes which go nowhere.
I know the rabbit hole, so you can sit here for weeks and go down it further, and then again you're just watching the shadows, like you say, of Plato's cave. But I wanted to ask you some more, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
You can ask me as well if you like any questions. So the older people. So it's not only children that have been targeted. They have slogans now in the UK. Don't hug your nanny or something like that, if you want to save her. It is beyond belief that they come up with these things. Sometimes I laugh at them because they are so so silly. How can they come up with this? Don't hug your. And why do people follow it? That's the more surprising for me.
It's trauma-based mind control, and it's Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
Stockholm syndrome, like, we need to understand psychology to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And they've identified the perpetrator as their savior because they are looking outside of themselves for leadership because they can't face themselves inside. That's how this works. That's Stockholm syndrome, classic.
Yeah, that's true. It is so sad not to be with your grandmother.
And also it's also a long-term program, like with the older people, the older generations. I read a great book by Mark Devlin called Musical Truth. And he explains there how since the Second World War, how the generations have been split. And you see after the war, You're the generation of the 60s, the 68 generation. People are like, oh, hippie, blah, blah, blah. It was a psyop. The CIA introduced LSD into that movement. People went into that direction, and what they shaped was culture. And the hippies didn't understand the parents that have gone through a very hard war and were traumatized. And the traumatization goes on from each generation. Then you had the techno revolution, where people went into the techno music scene, and the hippies' parents didn't understand the techno scene. And now they've got a new, and that's why how they influence culture through the music and entertainment industry. And that's how they pit the generations against each other. And that's a long-term program, which they really don't want you to know about, healing that relationship.
Absolutely. And it's always opposing sides. They finance the left and the right, Republicans, Democrat, but it's all same thing, no? Sponsored by the same thing. Their modus operandi is a divide. Yes.
But that divide is failing very quick. The people are coming together.
Yeah.
We love humanity. We love humanity. You can bug off with your global warming mind virus, you know, that humanity is bad. All the narratives is always humanity is bad. Humanity is a virus.
Yes.
We love humanity, and humanity loves us, and we're all coming together now.
Humanity is not a virus. Humanity is great.
Beautiful, extraordinary.
And they have to understand this. Humanity has to understand this.
Yeah.
They are the power. That's why they're so much under attack. Why would you be under attack if you were powerless? It's because you're powerful. You know?
Absolutely. But also programs like on the BBC, it's not my favorite channel, Extinction by David Attenborough. Like, oh, people are so bad, they have caused the planet to destruct.
See, they are using
people
him
buy it.
They're using him to push their agenda.
Absolutely.
And people see this nice elderly gentleman on TV with the animals, and they're like, oh, he's a good guy. That's how the spells work.
Exactly. But how come you see it, Steve sees it, and the wizard, your friend, sees it?
Because we have freed our mind. We're not in the mind, we're here in the heart. This is the true intelligence. That's where the true vision comes from. You have to free your mind.
And really ask the question, why? Because that's why my last name is Whybrow. Why leads you to the causal level. Remember who you are. Remember you're being attacked like crazy because we are all powerful. And actually, the alliances we've got behind us, who we don't see, are intergalactic. We've got the forces of the universe behind us. And you know what they do? The ones we look up to, all these higher dimensional beings, you know what they would say? You're doing the work. We here on the planet, every single being that's listening to this broadcast can be absolutely sure that we are the ones that move all things, and they respect us.
And they're behind us. They're behind us. We have to lead through action, and they're behind us. That's how it works. We don't wait for the saviors to come. That's not going to happen. It happens through us being in action, and then they're right behind us, with us. That's
why I did the courageous act with the notice of liability, because I was aware that when I just take action and I just go for it, like all the forces, they're like in the background, like, oh, this guy's doing something, oh, let's back him up, you know. And you know how they back you up totally is when you're doing something different. You always have to do something different. Like, I know about common law, but I did it completely differently. I did it the way I understand natural law. And that's what they really don't want you, is to do something maverick, something unique.
Your very action within your own truth is your very protection.
Yes.
This is what people don't understand. When you do nothing, when you take no action, you're not in protection. That's when they'll come for you. You have to be in the action of the truth. That's when you're protected.
Yes. Errol, I've heard you say before, the intergalactic beings look at us as in, like you say, as an experiment, but in a good way experiment. Because they look up to us in a way, no? We're the creators, we are the creative beings, and we have the power. Can you speak to us a bit more about it?
They look up to us in the same way a mother or a father will look at their children.
Right.
And protect and nurture their children while they're growing, because the children are like a seed. Yes. And they grow, and they watch them grow, and they make sure they grow properly.
Okay, but will they, I don't believe so much in saviors as well, but will they ever step in?
If they
it's already happened.
Okay.
I mean, if I say to people, see, this is the thing. If I say to people, oh yeah, they're going to, you know, they're not going to allow this planet to be destroyed. What's the point? Everybody will kick back and do nothing.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
not the purpose. That's not the purpose.
Yeah.
We have to do something so that they're like, oh, our creation is worthy. Let's go for it and save it. Otherwise, the creation is a dead entity. So we have to be in action as the creation.
Yes.
You see?
And the feedback we get when we take action is to just be proud of ourselves. You can be proud when you cook a great meal. Do that action. And I was really proud when I served that notice of liability. Do that. And that's what they most disconnected us from, you know, pride in ourselves, the excellence that we are. Everyone has incredible talents, everyone. It's just that most people are too much in the mind.
Yes.
Need to get back to the heart.
Yes. And I think as well, the ego, some schools of, they say the ego is all bad, but the ego is not all bad. It is part of us. It looks after us and wants us to evolve. So that's also how they use that spell, let's say, to make it negative.
They tell us we have to destroy it. That's the enemy. No.
Yeah, everything has to be destroyed.
Yeah. You know what's a strong, for example, a strong ego, what I expressed, for example, is I'm the diplomat for planet Earth.
Yes.
That's a role. I love that role. I like talking about it. But I don't stay stuck in it like, oh, and identify with it. No, but I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud. And when they're like, oh, can you prove that you are? Well, go out into nature and ask her for a signature. Boy.
Put your shorts on. But I think you should be proud in jumping in that lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Great.
The Wim Hof.
Yeah, feels great.
So there's a lake, there's a river here, and I jumped in it a couple of times now. I was very proud of myself, but it's not.
Oh, wow.
Not -2.
Also in freezing cold.
Yes,
not
just now.
-2.
Yeah. Yesterday I did it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're already
strong.
Sync.
Yes.
Very strong. Great. We love seeing women do that too.
Well, they are mostly
then we
women
slay him together.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, let's continue a bit more about the questions that I have. Did you want to add something else? No?
I'm good for now.
The Gnostic Takeover. You say your platform is now called the Gnostic Takeover. Yeah, speak to us a bit more about that, please.
Well,
Du, ich, mich. Yeah.
So
Chris, do you want to say something?
The Gnostic Takeover will be the people who has always done this stuff coming together and taking back the planet together on the 21th of December.
Oh, fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
Basically what it is all the tribes of the earth, all the natives throughout the history, their ways and the way of the ancestors basically is coming back. That's what it is.
On the 21st of December of this year.
Yeah, onwards.
And it's already leading up to that.
It's already
Yeah.
here.
But the basic principle is you never compromise with a psychopathic takeover. So you take everything back. You don't take a little bit. Like they offer you a nice 15 million mansion in some mountain and you say, oh no, I want everything back. That's what people need to get. You know, you do not compromise on any level, because natural law is all about the absolute. It's moral. The moral principle is an absolute principle. It is an action is wrong when it causes harm to other sentient beings. Everything else is relative, which is the law systems that we have, the education. It's like moral relativism, you see. And we have to take things back in absolute terms. We're taking everything back. We are the ones who are taking the planet back. We bring this message out, and it's humanity together, coming together. Everyone's invited to join us on our Telegram channel and the other channels that we're going to create, because we're doing this together.
Yeah, speak to us.
Yeah.
Let's
Fantastic.
talk.
Yes, let's talk.
Very simple, easy.
Yes, so 21st, is that done by meditation, or like you say, just talking to each other in conversation?
I have to laugh, but it's leading up to the 21st.
Yeah.
However you want to create it, just do a ceremony.
Yeah.
Ritual is important. Intention. All you need is intention, and follow up that intention. However you want to do that. You want to have cups of tea, you do that, you know, do ceremony.
See, the principles have already been activated through ceremonies.
Yes.
The earth is already in alignment with the rest of the force. So the energies working through the earth right now are bringing that forth automatically anyway. So people are already feeling the effects, and a lot of people, they're being hit and bombarded by these energies, which they don't understand. So a lot of them who haven't done their groundwork, they're freaking out, you see,
Yeah.
and they're going into anxiety, depression. What they're feeling is the shift which is taking place on the land, and it's operating through them as well. It's activating them to rise, wake up. It's breaking the spell. The spell is being broken right now. And on the 21st, bang, it's just gone.
Yeah.
And everybody rises.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
Fantastic. Bring it. So I wanted to speak to you as well about 5G, the electromagnetic radiation, and how they use that as the silent weapons against us.
Yeah, there's multiple levels of 5G, okay?
Yeah.
And what it basically is the implementation of the 5G AI mainframe matrix.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They want to create an artificial reality, as was portrayed in the Matrix movie, which was complete truth. And again, I point to the work of Mark Passio to look at his presentation, The Matrix Trilogy Decoded. And 5G basically, and the 6G and whatever, let's call it 5G. It's the inverted pentagram G. That's what it is. It's Satanism. It's all about mind control. A lot of people focus on the health effects. No, it's mind control on the most important level. It's the hijack of your consciousness, and it's a blocking frequency. That's what a lot of people haven't come to realization yet, because we're being hit with light codes coming from the galactic core, as I learned from Eril.
From the source itself, from the source of all things.
Exactly.
It's rising through the earth, it's rising through us.
Yeah.
So they're bombarding us with 5G technology, which basically they're bombarding us with the energy from their realm, the dark realm, which they're compatible with, but we're not. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to re-engineer the structure of our realm so it's compatible for them, so they can come in and invade and destroy us. You see?
But yeah,
like
but the It's being unraveled through us doing our work and coming into alignment with the source. The blocking frequencies don't work anymore. And on the 21st, I'm strongly suggesting that there will come a cut to that blocking frequency, and the inevitable will happen because the source and the energies directed at the earth will just upgrade the consciousness of the people. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to delete 5G.
Their weapons will fail. They won't have any effect anymore. You know, all their grids, their technology is going to be, all their weapons are going to be cancelled out, basically. And I just want to add, if that's okay, another reason they're using the 5G for is, it's not just the 5G, it's the 5G that ties into an energetic weapon system, you know, with the harp, the whole entire electronic grid, geoengineering. It's all ties into the same weapon, and they can target specific individuals with that weapon. I'll give you an example. People are coming online now, and they're beginning to develop some powers and abilities, and they know this. So they can see who's coming into their power and developing those abilities. So they specifically target those individuals with those weapons, directed energy weapons, and they see how they react. You see, I'll give you an example. They did it to me. They targeted me, and I was feeling really bad symptoms. But what they actually did was they awokened the lion within me, and they panicked when they saw that, and they stopped. You see? And for at least a week, I was feeling like I had flu-like symptoms, but I healed after that. And that's the COVID effect. So they're using the 5G to make people sick so that they can say, oh, they've got COVID.
Of course.
There is no COVID. It's the 5G. It's the electronic weapons which they're using against us. That's what's creating the so-called 5G, which doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true. But how can, let's say, other people who are not so awake, and because you were aware of it, that they were targeting you, how would you advise people that feel not so well, that to protect themselves, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about shielding with like, what is it, lead painting and whatever, you know. How long can you shield yourself for?
No, that's
you have to face these energies, and you have to allow yourself to be hit by these energies so that you can alchemize them and reverse them. That's what we have to do. You have to face them.
And just as a side note, I recommend for people that get the calling to get in touch with entheogens, with healing plants, healing medicine, like ayahuasca or psilocybin mushrooms, whatever you want to use. Those are there for a reason, and they can make you face those dark energies. You integrate them. And I even had a directed energy weapon target me, and it did nothing to me because my perception is outside of their bubble.
Yeah, but I also think you should have a shaman or someone who knows what they're administering.
We're all shamans at the end.
No, of course, yes.
We're all shamans.
Yeah.
We haven't stepped into that power yet. And now's the time, it's the opportunity to step into our power.
Yes.
And take on the role as shaman. And we're going to see more of that now. We're going to see more of that now, definitely. You know, but the only way is to face the dark side. You have to face it, not hide and not run. You have to face them head on.
True.
That's the awakening, as Carl Jung said, you know, from where we get shadow integration work in the West. Carl Jung said, awakening is not imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
Yeah.
And that is 5G there. It's just that. Light and dark. The one is a reflection of the other. And we only awaken when we face that darkness.
Yeah.
The New Age hijack is one of the biggest psyops ever created. We have to face that darkness inside of us, and the 5G can't touch us then. Just have to face it. And it's psychological work, shadow integration, being honest with yourself. If you are confused, relax into your heart soul essence regularly, and everything will order itself. Go into nature, connect to your core.
It's all a force, isn't it? It's all a force. And now we are beginning to slowly understand the force, and we're becoming able to use the force. We're becoming force users, basically, just like the movie Star Wars.
Yeah. I did like that one. Yes. Steve, I wanted to talk to you about the Trinity.
Yeah.
The pyramid that you drew, and a bit more about that. Also, you say Father, Son, and Mother, and their powers. So please explain.
Yeah, I have to refer again to the work of Mark Passio. In his Natural Law presentation, he explains it beautifully.
Okay.
So what it basically is, and I go deeper into it on my channel, on my videos, is the masculine component is in the realm of thought, the feminine component, the realm of feelings and emotions. Coming together, those two are interior energies within ourselves. And it represents also one principle of natural law, which is the principle of gender. So thoughts, emotions, and aligning them with outward action. Those two interior energies coming together in right action. Only then do you complete the Trinity, and only then are you changing reality. And that upright pyramid, okay, that upright pyramid can only be gotten into balance. Everything works in balance in creation through the downward pyramid. That's the hidden pyramid, and it's probably the most hidden of information in creation, because the demiurge himself goes crazy when it comes to the downward pyramid, which I call the pyramid of sovereignty, or the magnetic component. I did a video just last week called Activating the Magnetic Component. And the pyramid of sovereignty starts with one, the existence of one. That's your sovereignty. Sovereignty is given to the being itself. You can never be declared sovereign by anything outside of you. So you just assert it and you live by it. And that Trinity is activated, like the upright is electrical. And the matrix only works on the electrical level. That's where we get the pyramid of control. The order followers, following orders and all that. I explained that also. And the downward pyramid puts it into alignment, the electrical, and the action, like for example, the notice of liability action that I did, was pure electrical. Boom, action, directed, know exactly what I'm doing. But it only really works when after I did the action, I let go. And what I learned from Max Egan, to have no stake in the outcome. You let go completely out into nature, and that's where the magnetics start to work, because when you stop sending, only then can you receive.
Absolutely. The magnetic part, grounding, earthing is super healthy. And I think you guys do plenty of that to the mountains. Mountains is very, earthing, grounded. You spoke as well about the iceberg. Yeah, thank you. A bit more. So you can't see the hidden part, but you can see only the top part.
Yeah. Well, basically what this control structure is operating from, when in natural law terms, it's about sovereignty, and the control structure of the pyramid. People elect their representatives in government as politicians, okay? But they're only the peak of the iceberg. The mechanizations go back into the deep into the hidden, And the way this pyramid works is something called criminal sovereignty. So what you have actually is that man's law, okay, the constitutions and the whole law system is deeply satanic because due to the fact that it wants to replace source and natural law, that makes it satanic straight away. And they're hiding behind what is called criminal sovereignty. So the law, how it's set up, is set up the way to protect the criminal.
That's why they call it criminal sovereignty and criminal law. It's a law that protects the criminals themselves.
And in the book, which I can also recommend, which I studied the first article by the editor, Eric Wilson, it's called Government of the Shadows. And the first sentence he uses, that is a pure Gnostic expression. He says, law is the respectable face of crime.
Yeah.
And we really have to get to the core of that, because that's why we're taking the government over, because they are protecting criminals and we're taking down the criminals.
They've just passed a law in the UK that they allow rape, torture, and murder. It's crazy. And of course, they protect pedophiles as well. They pass that through as well, throughout the world.
And the way you get to them is notice of liability.
Notice of liability.
And then after that, action. Physical action.
Yeah.
They have tried for a very long time to demonize us against violence, they call it. When you're under physical threat, what's the only option left for one to do? Is to self-defense physically. And we have the freedom to do that by the source. It's not criminal. We are divinely designed to protect ourselves physically. If they can be violent, we will teach them about violence.
But I in my case as the diplomat, if I may add,
Yeah, go ahead.
Peacefully, please.
I
Mr.
think
Dragon.
well, I see this being resolved peacefully, because the first dominant to fall is Austria, and you'd have to have a look at the demonstrations in Austria. Like, there's no problem with the police. They're very peaceful people. That's why it's happening in Austria.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not going to be done violently or physically, but what Eril is referring to is to activate and accept that violence, that masculine principle for any man or woman. Then you become whole is by just integrating that within your being and not be a little child and say, oh, violence is bad. No, you're wrong.
You have to let them know, you have to let the enemy know that you're capable of it.
Exactly.
Not apply it, but let them know.
Exactly.
No, yeah, no,
You know?
no, I hear you for sure.
Yeah.
I will protect my daughters.
Exactly.
Yes, although I'm peaceful, but yes, no one is messing with them.
Exactly.
No, I hear your messages. Beautiful. Right. I think we've covered everything for so far. Do you have anything to add?
That was really powerful, I have to say, and I thank you a lot.
No, thank you for bearing with me.
Opportunity to speak with you. Absolutely, no, you're a wonderful being, and we are very happy to get to know you.
Thank you.
And bringing this message forward. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
No, thank you very much.
I would just say, you know, we're one human family, and now we're taking it all back. And it's always the sun rises when the night is darkest. So do not despair. Remember, there's a lot of us, millions, billions of us, who are tuning in now, and we're taking it all back. We are very strong, very resilient.
Nobody's alone in this. Nobody's alone in this.
Yeah.
We all come together, that's it.
What about your friend? Sorry, I forgot his name.
Chris.
Chris, hi Chris. Do you have anything to add?
I would only suggest for people to like form groups, come together, really talk about all the stuff going on, connect really to nature, to the trees, to the stones, get all the spirits of the forest and the animals into you, integrated into your life, and just be how you are. And
Yeah, it's a
That's
beautiful message. Absolutely. Please say hello to Claire Edwards as well. What an inspiration she is to all of us. And you guys keep jumping in the lakes. Hopefully one day I'll join you.
Yes, that would be great.
Sure.
Namaste to you all and good
Thank
health.
you.
Thank you. In Lakesh.
And
Yeah.
luck.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I'll stop the recording.